2. My guest tonight will be Stephen Cooper. We'll just wait for Stephen to join us here. We're 1 week late today as Nashville had a surprising Christmas bombing, which took out our internet for a couple days. So we're improvising. We pushed it a week. Things are a little back to normal here, I think. Thank you so much for joining us here. Let's see if we can get Stephen on here. Yeah, there he is. Going live with Stephen Cooper. Hey.
We're in.
There he is.
We cannot be stopped.
You did it.
I did it. Old man Cooper, he learned something new.
I'm so excited. You were able what did you say earlier? Old man versus computer?
Old man versus computer.
You won.
I did. We will always win.
Yes,
We will.
you will.
We won't be stopped. How are you?
I'm doing great. And I'm so happy to have you. For anybody just joining us, this is Stephen Cooper right here.
Hello.
Stephen Cooper, one of my best pals here in Nashville. And oh man, he's done a lot. He's toured and recorded with Nikki Lane, Nicole Atkins, I almost said Akins, oh my gosh. Patrick Sweeney. He's part of one of my favorite bands, Indianola, and he's most recently produced Van Darien's release, Levy. Yes. So there's lots going on.
Yes.
How are you keeping with not touring? Since I know, let's just get right into it. Since that's kind of all you do, all we do.
All we do. I've been, tinkering around a lot with different ideas. Some writing, some just playing. Been recording some Tascam jams.
Yes,
lo-fi.
Of course.
I finally broke the quarantine barrier of baking bread. I'm making my own bread now. Just cooking, kind of, it's odd. For such a chaotic time, it's been a kind of a mental reset for me.
Yeah.
Learning how to cope.
Is there anything that the pandemic has allowed you to do that you couldn't have done before as a touring musician? Because I'm kind of finding that the case with a lot of people. For me, I've been able to learn how to actually record music for real and taken an audio engineering course and been able to actually set up a rig, whereas I just wouldn't have been home for 8 weeks at a time to do that,
Oh, absolutely. I think I'm in the same boat where I've been, doing analog recording at the house, and then Owen from Indianola, Owen Beverly, we get together a lot and we'll work on projects that we never would have gotten the opportunity to hash out.
Yeah.
We've done several recordings over at his place, various friends and artists that, we might have talked about or maybe got like a track knocked out, but it never would have come to fruition the way it has.
Yeah, because you get into something and then the next week you're leaving, and then you get back to it like a month later or something, and then it just loses momentum somehow or something. That's great. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting things that come out of this, even though it's been the loss of livelihood for most people. But
the cool thing is I feel like there is going to be a very powerful return where I think the cream kind of rises to the top sort of vibe, and I think there's going to be a lot of folks who held on who are going to come out with like some of the strongest material you've ever heard from, because there's that level of introspection that's going to be like, just massive.
Yeah,
Um,
it's gonna weed some people out, which maybe
they're
is
gone.
okay.
Oh, they're dead. They're gone. Not dead.
Just
They're not. They're still
yeah,
alive. They've just left.
yeah. I think there's I always talked about how the Canadian touring is so hard in the winter that it weeds the people out that don't really want to do it too. So this is kind of another form of that. It's like Canadian winter touring,
Jesus Christ.
surviving a pandemic. Like what else?
I
So
but I don't know what it is. I find myself like at least once a month looking at a map of Canada and just in awe of the vast expanse of land that it is. And every American thinks every Canadian knows each other.
they do.
It's
And
like
in the music industry, kind of, almost,
kind of,
you
but
know, almost. I was just thinking the other day, actually not the other day, a couple hours ago. Time is crazy right now. When we actually like, what was the musician that brought us together as friends? And I think it might have been Kay Phillips.
oh my goodness, yes.
And we're going on many years now. And I was thinking, what was the first musical thing that Stephen and I did together? And it was we were both playing guitar for Kay Phillips
We
together.
were. It was yeah, we were playing with Kay and it was Chase McGillis and Taylor Powell.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I think you were on lead, I was on rhythm and background vocals, and that was a pretty great band.
yeah, you were also playing lap steel.
Oh, I was. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, right. I don't even remember now, but I remember one Basement East show that was just fire.
Oh, it's Slade. It's
So good.
Slade.
So good.
Yeah.
He didn't even know what he had.
Oh, are you kidding me? Let's just
You know,
dive into it. Fuck that guy.
he had no idea.
Oh, he still doesn't. Are you kidding me? That kid he's just he's a 7-year-old lost in a parking lot. He doesn't know where he's going. He doesn't know where he's been. He knows he's lost.
But he really, he writes some good songs, that guy, I tell you what.
Uh,
Okay, so let me get into it here. I want to hear a little bit about you're the kind of player that I can't ask to well, actually maybe I could. What you have and the gear you have is so vast to me. Like there's so much and there's so many things that you've collected. And especially now, it's not like you're out with one band, so you have a rig going. But if there was one rig you could tell me about, like what would it be right now? Or maybe what you're doing right now and you have going on, Like
um,
what are you loving? I mean,
man,
you have so many things right there even that are
I
wonderful.
am. Yeah, it's actually my rig, but prior to the pandemic was actually these two together in stereo. It's a 1970 Princeton and like a 1964 1483 Silvertone. I
That's
would recommend
great.
a different cabinet because this is the size of a small coffin, this
Yeah.
15-inch cabinet. So I have a little compact like tweed cab. But
Yeah.
yeah, I really liked those together. And what I would always, for my stereo splitter, one of my favorite delay pedals is this RE20. It's I don't know, we'll just get in.
Oh yeah, nice. I love this.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Great.
just that RE20 has always been my splitter. I had
Yeah.
on a couple tours, I had a Leal splitter, just to ensure that I could get the right phase and things like that. But honestly, when I know the amps, it's not like they're going to change being able to function with each other. So when I know the rig works, that's all I have for my splitter. But yeah, that was the amp. And then the pedal board, I would just endlessly Velcro and
Yeah.
unvelcro.
Yeah.
I
Of
loved
course.
ripping things off. And I
Yeah.
love throwing. One of my favorite things to do in sessions or tours is to just randomly put a new chunk of metal that I don't know how it behaves. And it's just like, I get really excited about using it and then simultaneously terrified, And
That's always a good place to be.
yeah, but
Yes.
I always like one newer piece of gear because I find it's like it's always going to inspire something.
It keeps you on your toes. Yeah,
Keep
just
you on
kind
your
of.
toes, and sometimes you turn something on. Like I got this Super Hornet, which is the octave fuzz pedal
Ooh,
from
yeah.
Greer, and it's this really, it's a loose, it's a high octave fuzz. So anytime you have the octave on, you're kind of having a battle. How many notes can get through.
Yeah, sure.
And if you play certain notes together, it just turns into a chaos pattern. So it's like
Yeah.
you learn this cool little language of how the pedal behaves with how you play. So
Yeah.
I like doing stuff like that. But that was the overall, everything is fairly close to how my rig was on my last tour, which was out with I was on tour with Patrick Sweeney, and we were out in the world started falling apart out in California. We were
Oh, okay. So you were out at the time
we were
that.
out west.
Okay.
We were actively the last show in every city we went to. So like we played the
Wow.
Bootleg Theater in Los Angeles, and it was the last night of music. We played Soda Bar in San Diego, last night of music. So we kind of had this like Grim Reaper feeling of
Yeah.
like closing every bar we went to. But
Man, that's crazy.
yeah.
So what so your pedal board's always interchanging, you're taking stuff off, you're putting stuff on. What are the things that are always on there that always stay?
Always say the Space Echo, the RE20, has been a mainstay. I got that pedal. Nicole Atkins uses one for her vocals,
Oh yeah, right. Cool.
and she ended up streamlining it, but for a while she had just the effects mic, and then she ended up patching it into her main vocal. But it was I just loved the trails on it, and it had a really good sounding reverb. And so I found one used, just got on reverb.com, and,
Yeah, yeah,
the immediacy of buying any gear you want. So
yeah.
I got that. And then for about 3 years, the Strymon Flint has been my go-to for, additional reverbs and just great tremolo. And then next to that, this will change. I always like something that's kind of a warble modulation.
Yeah, sure.
Um, and that right now is a TC Electronic shaker, which I've had forever. But it's like the pedal is like the old Boss VB2, so it's this pitch shifting vibrato.
Okay.
But like it's a pedal like Nels Klein, Mark Rebo, Buddy Miller.
Yeah.
It's that warble that they always seem to have. So
Yeah, there is. It's definitely a great way to describe that. You actually have, I feel like you have a little warble in your own fingers the way that you do vibrato with your fingers. It's really specific to you. Like there is something, there's a warble in there just in your fingers, man. I love
yeah,
it. I love
so
it. I can always tell it's you by just that. I mean, I haven't heard you in a while, but I'm sure it's still there.
it's
But
probably
it's very subtle, but it's like, oh yeah, that's Steven.
unless it was just jitters. Maybe it's
Oh,
it's just I love your vibrato, and it's just blind nerves. Uh,
okay, keep going. Sorry, I
but
interrupted
yeah,
you.
so the three I just started going and talking about all the pedals. Um,
Yeah, please.
the three mainstays would be that Space Echo, the Flint, and then I have this Analog Man Sunface.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, right.
I love that pedal. Um, and I got that. I like to occasionally like just post about where things came from, but I got this
Yeah.
particular fuzz pedal at a pawn guitar shop in Texarkana, Texas.
Nice.
I was playing a show out there, and it was like the type of play.
Where in Texarkana were you playing?
It was this play. It was like called. I think it was called One Eye Jacks.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and it was an interesting place. It was like it was a smoking bar, and like
Yeah.
The owner lost a leg. It was like one of those. It's very Texarkana.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
there was a bowling alley next door that I think you could score any drug you wanted from.
Yes.
Texarkana, it's got a vibe.
Yes. The perfect place to go to a thrift pawn shop and get a
The
pedal.
perfect place.
Yes.
And I ended up going to, and I got that pedal, and it was just like sitting amongst all the things that you endlessly see at pawn shops. It's like you feel like when a pawn shop opens, they get them with their like pawn shop license. It's like there's a Behringer like overdrive pedal.
Yes.
There's a PV Bandit. It's
Always,
like,
always some PVs in there. Yep.
yeah, there's always a Squire Strat that was like signed by Nickelback or something like that. They priced too high. Every pawn shop, I swear to God, any pawn shop you go into will have a celebrity signed instrument of some sort.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes it will be like a Budweiser branded guitar,
Yeah.
but it's always signed by like a B-rate celebrity. But and occasionally next to those, you'll find a fuzz pedal that you really like. And that's what I did.
Yeah, there'll always be just some gold at the end there. Maybe if you're
What are you using for fuzz these days? I think you
um
were
I
just.
was I'm still rocking the JHS Muffaletta.
Oh hell yeah!
That's been really that's kind of there's a lot of range on it. So that's kind of why I haven't needed anything else. I can get really wide with the fuzz, but then it has the range. So um I'm loving that. I haven't been using it a ton in quarantine. But there's a couple times where it has. I'm kind of in the midst of recording a record here in my house. At least the stuff that I can record in my house. I'm gonna do drums and bass somewhere else. But that's really been. I kind of love that since I got it, and I haven't really felt the need to get anything else. But I'm sure I will. But I usually combine that with some other stuff too.
Oh
So
the endless. Let's plug this into that into this.
yeah. But I will say that my tone tastes lately have really become like I am loving dry fuzz right now. Just
Oh yeah.
I have not really been into dry tones. You probably know that about me. I really haven't. But this is the time. Dry. Reverb is off. Just like maybe some delay, but dry as fuck. I love
I
it.
love it.
Yeah.
No, I've definitely been trying to dry it up. I think it's you go through the waves where it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't let myself have a wah pedal for like I got my first wah pedal in the mail from Japan a week ago, and it's the first wah pedal that I've actively had to use in
Okay.
probably 15 years.
Wow.
But it was like, you have something and you overuse it, and then so
Yeah.
it's like you have to go full
I
turkey.
think I think you're at a point in your playing where you can have one.
I can have it. And it's a fuzz wah too, so I turn it on and it's just dinosaur
Yeah.
here.
I
Just
love that. I love that. I can't wait to hear it.
I've been so fucking loud in quarantine. I can't be silenced.
Yeah, that's so I have been loud and quiet. There's lucky my baby can sleep through because right now I'm in my little laundry room slash studio, and the dual showman amp, which is actually right here facing me in this little corner. I will turn that on, and I'm not going to turn it on like super loud, but um I'll turn it on and record with it, and she just sleeping away, doesn't even care. So it's been pretty great. Yeah.
Does Aaron have a drum kit set up
He
in the
does
house?
not. He does not. No, there's no room for that here. But hopefully soon we'll be able to have something set up. So, but yeah, it's a good time to be loud. Okay, I'm gonna move on to another question for you.
What do you got?
Um, this is sort of moving away from your own stuff, but and this is a hard one, but top 3 guitar players.
I have I so
Or
here's
don't think about it too hard. You just got
no
to answer me.
no so I have different tiers for the 3.
Okay.
When I was a kid and I was getting into guitar, it was like, it was Jimi Hendrix, David Gilmour, and Stevie Ray Vaughan. I grew up in Dallas, so it was like
That makes sense.
And I grew up at the guitar shop that Stevie Ray went to. So it was like, that was like a thing. And David Gilmour was like the first guy I heard who was like really doing, you know, because he has like an ethereal tone.
Yeah,
Like
it's
huge.
incredible. I
And then
almost feel like he's not mentioned enough in the
he isn't.
the top 3 or 5. You know,
No, he isn't. And
he's
he
not.
affected so much. Like, I mean, if you have no David Gilmour, you have no, like, you wouldn't have War on Drugs. Like, you wouldn't hear
Yeah.
any of those tones. Like,
Also, his playing is so melodic. Like the solos that he would play, just weaving in and out of the melody, really simple, just kind of memorable. Like you can sing those. You know.
sing every, and we're going to do it right now. We're going to sing everything you start.
No. But it's true. I think that's what makes I think that's one of my favorite things about guitar players is those qualities, you know.
Oh, yeah. But so so like so how I would say it is like, I feel like every five, 5 years, I'm getting like a new batch of guys who
Sure. That makes
like
sense.
really are fundamental to like your core of what you're doing. So it was
Yeah.
like, so those 3 guys when I was starting couldn't have been more massive.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I feel like when I got into my late teens in guitar playing, I got, what was really big for me is I got a Nick Drake record. I got,
Yeah.
and that one, it really sent me like being fascinated with acoustic instruments and not just electric guitar, but like alternate tuning and just the idea of like, it was this one guy and, you know, he made that record in the span of 2 nights that he was getting, you know, kind of, he bullshitted his way into making that record. He said that Island wanted a follow up, and it was just like everything about Nick Drake made me feel like I could do something like that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I could play guitar like that, and I loved picking it apart and figuring it out, and it really, you know, a lot of his playing shaped my sense of melody, like, and how I like to hear drone notes with, you know, because of his alternate tunings, you know, it definitely made it to where I always liked having a low thump if I was, you know, going to be playing a
Yeah.
high melody. But so it was like, I feel like Nick Drake, our boy, Daniel Lanois,
Yeah.
was huge. And Nels Cline was
Yeah.
really big. I got, when I think I was 18, and I got this live Wilco record that was called Kicking Television. And that record just, it annihilated me. I didn't really know anything about Wilco at the time. I got the record at a Barnes and Noble. It's like, you know, a lot of things don't exist today. I went and bought a CD at a bookstore. It's like, and I just wore that record out. But that was the first. That was the first recording that Nels was on with Wilco.
Okay.
And yeah, I was just really, really into that. I loved his playing. I loved the Wilco catalog, but it was like really his playing, and I, you know, went on like a huge kick with him.
It's definitely otherworldly, it seems like what he does. It's just it cannot be duplicated, you know?
It can't be duplicated, and it's like there's only one of them. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like there's the guys I put him in the same categories with are like, they're so far in other directions. You know what I mean? It's like he's the only guy who exists in this world where he can kind of do it all. Like he can make
Yeah.
an instrumental jazz record, and then he can
Yeah.
go into with Wilco. He can, you know, he played with fucking Mike Watt for years. Like, just know what, like, you know, I love Bill Frisell and guys like that, and
Yeah.
Nels does, but you know, Bill Frisell didn't tour in a punk band. Like,
Yeah.
Nels
Yeah.
Cline did. It's
Yeah.
like, I love that.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
yeah.
there
Okay.
was that, and then you know, so I'm stretching your questions out forever.
That's
But
okay. Great.
the third tier, when I was in my early 20s, you know, like 23, 24, Blake Mills put out his first solo record.
Yes.
break
Blake.
mirrors,
Of course.
and that was insane. That was like,
Yeah.
I mean, talk about just earth shattering. It's
Yeah.
like, and another guy who deceptively would make you think, it's like
Yeah.
so many people have been like, I can do that. And then they just, you can take good things from his playing and adapt it into yours and succeed. I've seen so many people who think that they can be Blake Mills, and just watching their car on fire on the side of the road, not getting where they wanted to go. It's like they're dead. You can't do that.
No.
Um,
No.
but
Just do your own thing, man.
yeah, but it was like Blake Mills was big, and a weird thing was I revisited, and I didn't know that he was. So my dad, when I was young, he had a Dire Straits cassette tape that
Yeah.
he listened to all the time, and I fucking hated it. I hated Dire Straits so much. I didn't. It was like, and it was probably because it was my dad. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Your
Yeah.
dad
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
listen to cool things, even if it's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And but I didn't realize that I heard that the cassette a million times, and it was like Mark Knopfler just was like ingraining, like coded in my
Yes.
DNA.
Yes.
And the older I got, the more Mark Knopfler isms I like had in my playing, and
Yeah.
volume swells and and clean tone and vibrato and stuff. And I realized that he was like unknown, a big influence. So I had to so I've revisited later a lot of Mark Knopfler.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's kind of crazy how that can just get into your whole being without even knowing it.
Well, yeah, it's like I was watching a thing that was really cool. It was uh, Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age was talking about like polka music
Yeah.
finding its way. Like he grew up on polka music, and then he like would explain the polka rhythm, and then you
Mm.
would hear it in certain Queens of the Stone Age songs. Highly filtered and
Yeah.
left field, but it's like that existed because of that. Just his brain was soaked in it.
Yeah.
So
So what are the top three right now? Or do
right,
they even exist? I mean,
they all
it's
play.
okay.
It changes by the week.
Yeah.
Like right now, actually, uh, I've been on a huge uh, Jay Mascis kick with old Dinosaur Jr. records, just being loud and like that's why I got an octave fuzz wah or a fuzz wah. I was like, yeah, you know, I bought a
Yes.
jazz master again recently. I hadn't had a jazz master in years. But yeah, that, and then I have been like really into like Johnny Marr stuff recently, like
Okay.
revisiting Smith's records and just getting, turning choruses back on for the first time in a while.
Mm. Yeah. Love the chorus.
I do too. It's
Love
fun
the
too because
chorus.
some people I love hate chorus, and I love sometimes.
I used
The,
to hate it, man. I used to hate it. I have been adding some stereo chorus to some guitar tracks, and it has been just the perfect thing lately.
yeah, well, the funny thing is, and it's like I know what people refer to when they're like, "I hate
Yeah,
chorus." I
of
know,
course. Of
but it's
course.
like it's just
Of
there's
course.
people don't categorize it anymore. It's just like you either love it or you hate it. And
Yeah.
I've had people recently, I won't name names, but I've had people who made their grand stand against chorus, and they're like, "Fuck chorus! If I hear it on a record, I won't even listen to it."
Uh,
And which I thought was amusing because I had just used a chorus pedal on a recording that came out of that artist,
oh, funny.
and
Oh.
I didn't necessarily want to send a message to him or her and be like, "Hey, your song that's like on Spotify right now, I'm definitely using a chorus pedal on." But because I was using it with an octave fuzz to like widen the fuzz,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah,
still there.
you
It's
don't
still
just
there.
like, yeah, it's used with other stuff, of course. That's so funny. I'm kind of maybe it's maybe it's because I'm a mom now or something, but this whole grandstanding against things like I hate the chorus and everything, I'll never listen to it, blah blah blah. I can't do that anymore with things. Just like whatever, man, just use what you use. Like taste is taste. It's so subjective, you know.
Oh my God. If I, somewhere there is going to be like in the afterlife, I'm going to be met with a ledger of all the stupid shit I've said. You know? Like, I, I've done, like, I was working on a record one time and said, like, I would never let organ touch a single track. It's like, for no good reason. It was just like, I woke up one day and I'm like, you know what? Organ's bullshit. And it should be on a record. And it should only be synth. And it's like, you know,
Yeah.
like I listened to, you know, War on Drugs record and there's like the most immediate organ sound
Yeah.
ever. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
all right.
It's you just never know what you're going to end up loving. I mean, just like I was saying before about how I'm getting into all these dry tones lately. I never would ever want to hear a vocal track of mine without any reverb. And now I'm like, this is great. Just dry. And I would have grandstanded about that shit a long time ago.
Well, the thing I love about,
Just to name one, there's
oh
so
yeah,
there's so many.
it's, well, we have a lot of hard opinions still.
We do have hard opinions. We won't share them with the public, some of them, but
I'll share them all right now. Name 21. I'll give
this
people home address.
this video will remain on the internet, so just know that before
Yeah,
you
what's the
say
only
things.
last a little while. People will be on to the news.
But it's true. Hard opinions. I mean, I also think that you can have hard opinions and then continue to grow and be open because then you hear something where you're like, I hate chorus, and then you say, oh, but there's that on this track and blah 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 blah, and you're like, oh, okay, so you just combine it with this, and yeah.
Now, I will say the thing, because I've been doing a lot of dry stuff as well.
Yeah.
Because it is weird though. It's like you got to wean yourself off of reverb and like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
your long trail delays and stuff. But I really love the way, you know, I love how fuzz behaves in a dry environment. I really like,
Yes.
I love hearing like a hard tremolo, a dry,
Yes.
you know, tremolo, because it's like you really get to hear, you know, the push and pull of the effect.
Yeah.
And I've also found too, it's like I'll hear a lot more of like the cool little nuance in your playing, like how you might kind of bend the neck that completely gets lost
Yeah.
in reverb world.
It definitely it almost it's like a watercolor, like it just washes over it and just kind of it can make a how do you say this, like it can make a kind of a worse player sound better, for sure.
Well, it can, and but the thing is, it's like one of those weird face filters for your imperfections,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But it's like some people's imperfections are really cool. So
Well,
it's like,
that's also just it. Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
you don't want to airbrush Marilyn Monroe's mole. You know what I mean? It's like that
Yeah.
stays. That
Yeah.
needs to be there. And there is a lot of sonically things that exist in guitar that will get lost in reverb. There is a lot of really cool shit that happens because of reverb though.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And we don't have to,
Freaking fuzz that just lasts forever.
yeah. It's not like we have to choose one way or the other, thank goodness. So,
We don't. We don't. Unless we're talking to somebody in a week and we're telling them our hard opinion on it.
yeah, exactly. Okay.
So,
Next question.
what do you got?
Desert Island guitar. One.
Honestly, if I'm taking one, I'm taking I love acoustic guitars. I didn't when I was young. I had hard opinions against them. Um, I I picked up. This is a guitar that I actually picked up fairly recently. It's a 1958 Guild M20 that our mutual friend of ours, Wade Kofer,
Yeah.
he found this guitar for me at a Sam Ash of all places, and they had just taken it in, and you know, it was a corporate chain, so
Yeah.
I went and completely took advantage of them. and got this guitar very cheap for what it was. And then Wade, who has been doing tremendous repair work, he planed the fretboard, refretted it, new bridge, new nut, just made this guitar absolutely perfect. And it's one of those, it's like, it fits so perfect. And I'm endlessly picking it up and playing it
Yeah.
and
Wow. So
enjoying it.
something you just got it was what you would pick. That's amazing.
It's
I
the
love
Desert
that.
Island thing. Because it's one of those things, it's like I immediately, when I got it and started playing on it, I kind of wondered how I lived without it for so long.
Wow.
I'll
That's
tell you,
great.
everything has a story, and I talk way too much, so bear with me. But 13 hours before the purchase of this guitar, I
Yeah.
went to a vintage store up the street called Backslide Vintage, and I bought an old American-made Guild baseball T-shirt.
Yes.
And I did, and I loved the shirt, but I had this insane OCD in my brain where I was like, well, I can't own the shirt without owning the guitar. Then I'm a poser.
Absolutely.
So I was looking at old Guilds, specifically old M20 on reverb. 13 hours before Wade called me, he's like, I found an old Guild
Oh,
up at the Sam Ash in Madison.
that's
So
incredible.
yeah,
Okay.
it willed itself in
Yes, it did. I
this
love that
weird way.
story. That's fantastic.
Yeah, but so that would be mine. What would be yours?
Oh, oh man, you can't turn this around on
I
me.
just did. Thoughts on Oregon? Go.
um, you know, so it's that's a weird question, right? Because if it's a desert island guitar, does it have to be acoustic? No, it doesn't. This is just assuming, you have the stuff to plug it in there too, of course.
It's a desert island with great amps.
With great amps, yeah. Um, I mean, it's ridiculous that I'm going to say this, but maybe it's not. But it's my Greg Gamble Telly. It just I keep I keep coming back to it no matter what. Um, so it's
That's
right
your
behind me. It's right behind me there. Gamble Guitar Works, guitar maker in the Dallas area, and this has just been on permanent loan for
It's yours. Greg's
a
never taken.
really long time.
If Greg tried to take that guitar back, I would lay hands on him. First, I hope
I
he's
have
watching.
tried to buy it from him.
He
He
because he
won't.
won't sell it to you. Because I'm telling you, and I know the psyche of it. He loves seeing you use it, and he loves the fact that it's technically not yours, so it's always a conversation piece between the two of you. It
Well, and the
always
other
gives you
thing,
something to keep up on.
the other thing about it too is we have, we talked at a show the last time I played Dallas, I think it was, or Fort Worth. We talked about doing an exact replica build, but it's not going to be the same because it won't be the same. Guitars are not the same. Uh, so, you know, it just continues to be something that kind of can morph with the way that my tone morphs too, and it still kind of shows up and does the things I want it to do. So, but I also haven't had a lot of capital to buy a lot of new instruments, so that's kind of just, it keeps being the workhorse.
Letting money get in the way of buying guitars. I'm broke, and I just keep
Dude,
going.
I have a baby, and there's no music income, so gotta be smart. Also,
Well, here's the thing: you have a gorgeous baby. Put that baby to work. Start selling, like, completely ethical, whole food baby food with that.
That's a good
I
idea.
baby on turnip food, baby food. Baby food.
I did invest in a recording setup, so that's kind of where my time and money have been flowing, because that's important right now. But I think that one would be the one, until further notice. There's going to be other guitars that come in my life. Although I will say that my 62 Harmony Rocket that I've had since I was, I think 22, 22, something around there. That's stayed and been a part of every record, and usually played like when I'm playing with other people, when that used to happen. I would always use that. I'd use the telly and then the harmony would
Oh
would
yeah.
come in to play. Yeah, you know, you've seen that. So that one too, because that can do some really unique things, you know, and really go to places that of course the telly can't go. But I think
I
that
have,
would be it.
yeah, I found, and by the way, you are actually the reason I started. I am full on. I've been full on telly for the last like 4 years probably, and you're one of the main reasons to start playing the telly. You're one of the first person I heard who
Love it.
had a similar love of like ethereal type guitar,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
hearing a telly not in a traditional twang banging sort of thing, I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what people think, that it just does that, which it I mean, you most people you hear are using it that way, which is fine. But um you put on some thick flats and it's great. You can just do all sorts of things. I
Oh
finally
yeah.
I finally changed from I was using 12s on my telly, and I realized I'm I'm working really hard. I'm working too hard.
It's you don't, yeah, you don't have to, you
You
know.
don't have to. No.
Um
It was just kind of fun, you know. And it I mean, the tone was great, but the 11s aren't that much different, of course. So I'm just not working as hard right
yeah,
now.
I think the problem was is like you know, you have this overarching badassness about yourself, you know, and you're good at winning fights, and but you've been in this endless fight with your string gauge, and you realize that you don't have to throw blows at your guitar anymore.
I don't have to fight. We don't have to be in a
You don't.
fight.
You're the
It's
toughest guy
true.
on the block. It's yours. You
Yeah,
won it. You don't have to defend it anymore.
it's so true. It's nice to be in that place, man.
I don't know if I ever. This has been. Have I ever showed you this guitar?
I have not seen that in person.
This has been my main telly for like the last 2 years. It's called a Cobra. It's made by a guy named James Carbonetti
Yeah,
in
I remember you telling me about
in
this.
Brooklyn. It reminds me of your Gamble a little bit though. It's
Yeah.
I put 11s on it. You know, it's got a good sized neck to it. Jumbo frets, like it's got a vibe.
Sweet. Can't wait to hear that. Uh,
Yeah.
so let me ask you a couple more questions before we wrap it up here. What is your favorite guitar moment in life, if there is one? Can you think of one? There's got to be.
Oh man. You know, as far as like you know, as far as playing, you know, there's a couple. Um, a few years back, I did a live session at Electric Lady Studios in New York, which
Ooh.
was like a that was a big deal. You know, both because it was like, you know,
Yeah.
a kid who grew up wildly into Jimi Hendrix, like feeling like I was making the
Who was
pill.
that with?
That was with Nicole
Oh,
Atkins.
nice.
Yeah, we did and it was really cool. That was one of yeah, that was my good friend Thayer Serrano on
Yeah.
keys.
She was on here watching a little while ago.
Oh, did she leave? She left, didn't she?
She may be gone, but she is fantastic. I'll have her on here one day too. She's
You
so
should.
good.
You
Yeah.
should. She moved back to Nashville, by the way.
Oh, okay.
She didn't tell me. She just she just
Well,
moved
where,
back.
wherever she goes, she will shine.
She will, but she, you know, you call me when you move back to town.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
it's true.
the she's supposed to do that. You're supposed to call me.
She is
Um,
she is so good. Oh man, I'm so inspired by her. I
she's very good.
love her.
But that was it was cool because it was when we did that session, it was a great band. It was such a good band. It was there on keys. It was Aaron Schaefer Hayes on drums,
Yeah.
and then and Owen had just joined the band on bass.
Oh yeah, nice. That's
Yeah,
great.
And I mean, that was like, and I keep up with everyone in that band, but Owen and I became really good buds and collaborators in different forms,
Yeah.
and we have since kind of just dragged one another into different touring and recording situations. For sometimes we love each other for it, sometimes we hate each other, and like, you got me into this. But
Yeah, it's that's great though, because that's sort of how that's how that all works, playing with different people. You have your friends drag you in for better or worse,
oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's nothing like the early on recommendation before the absolute insanity of an individual has revealed itself. And like, oh man, you
Yes.
love this gig, they're great. And then it's like you're both on the long tour together and you're like, holy shit, I'm so sorry.
Oh man, it's a crazy life, that whole thing, thinking about getting in a van with people you don't even know, and you just kind of have to make it work. And those are all skills that you're not there's no book for this. Like, you can't read about how to properly be a touring musician and be enjoyable to be around and not a pain in the ass, and just like, you just have to do it, and hopefully you're not an idiot and you can just watch the people around you and they're doing good things,
Oh yeah,
because
and it's something you get better at, you
oh
know.
yeah, of course, that's just it. You have to learn by doing. But yeah, it's such a wild thing. But that sounds like a good moment. That's an incredible studio. Any kind of studio experience like that really is memorable.
Yeah, it was cool. It was
Is
a very
there a is there a stage moment though that comes to the top of your head that was like, oh yeah, in that moment in this venue, we were, I was really, you were just, you know,
in it.
just in it and feeling it, and yeah. Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, I played a show. It was also with Nicole. It was actually a few days after that Electric Lady thing. We played at the Boot and Saddle in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Love that venue. But it was there was actually two separate times that there was always a good show in that room. But there was one where it was like this old school, uh, I don't know what they call them, but it's like, like the old Fillmore East light projectionists where they would have like, the liquid they'd mix up and
Oh
project it
yeah,
on.
the liquid
Yeah,
liquid light show. Yeah.
liquid light show. One of those, we had one of those guys come out, and it was
Yes.
just a maddening psychedelic experience, like seeing that everywhere you looked, and it just made a really killer show. And it was one of those where it was like, it there are those nights where wrong notes don't exist on your guitar, where
Yeah.
you stretch
Yeah.
out for some weird shit and it just works. You can never duplicate it, and you can never remember why it worked.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, exactly.
it was one of those nights where it was just, yeah, king of the world.
There's really something to be said about the formality of those kinds of shows, and the audience and the lights and just all of the things coming together, that you can't really, obviously they just don't feel the same as when you're doing, little private house shows or something, um, which I don't love, but I can find the joy in. But there's just that's kind of what scares me about the future of all of this, and all for us, and the people that love those moments of
God,
actually just being on stage, because that's our natural habitat. Like, where do we go? What do we do for that? And when you love, like, I love the formality so much. I like the distance between the audience until the moment I'm on stage. All of that stuff. I'm not afraid to say it. I don't want to see anybody before the show. I don't want to.
no. How
You know.
awesome is it that there was Tom Waits told a story, and it was like, I'm gonna botch this, but I think he was talking about uh, seeing like Bo Diddley, and he's like, he's like, he snuck backstage, and he's like, and I saw a sign on the dressing room door, and it said "Keep out," and he's like, and that was the moment I knew I wanted to be in show business.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something endlessly cool about, like, I mean, it just furthers that. the mythos of a band. It's like,
Yeah, the
like
mystery, which I think which I think social media has kind of taken away, and people still can walk that line, but I don't want to know about all of the personal things about my favorite artists. I just want them to be these people that I would love to have dinner with them and have a drink with them, but I don't need to know things. I don't care to. I don't want to know what they had for breakfast, you know?
no, I don't.
I want them to remain in like this sacred space. And I think that's, and I kind of take that in how I see the people that I want to see and use that with my own career, and a lot of people that I end up getting along with peer wise, they do that same thing. Because I just think it adds to the art somehow. Like, we don't need to know every reason for every note you're playing. We just need to feel it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've always had a yeah, I do. I mean, I do like the mystery in
Yeah, yeah,
in people I love, but I do like your feeling of having it myself. Of like, yeah, I don't like. There is nothing worse in the world than like if you're playing a venue that for some reason doesn't have like a restroom for like in the artist section, and it's like you're about to go on. It's this big moment where the lights come on. It's like you're going for that last minute. I'm gonna just rock a quick pre-stage piss, and you got and you got to make eye contact with the people who are about to see you on stage, and they know what you're doing. They know the direction you're walking, and it's
yeah,
like what a quick way to not
yeah.
feel like that the rock the
There's
rock god that
Yeah, yeah, man. We gotta. I mean, we only get brief little moments in our life to feel that way. So let's just, take everything we can.
yeah, like, yeah, let me feel like I am just an unstoppable war machine before I pack up my $500 worth of merch and contort my body like a fucking pretzel to fit into a Ford Econo line for 12 hours of driving.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, let
you
me.
can let everything else just go and be in your star bubble for a minute.
Yeah, it's like we were gym teachers. It would be like, it's our like bowling league.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh man.
yeah. Okay, let's I think we're gonna have to wrap it up as they cut you off, I think at around an hour. So
Who?
I think Instagram
Who's
does. It has before.
who's
So,
in charge? Is one of these people on here in charge? I'll talk
man,
to him.
I know here I am poo-pooing social media while I'm using it, but I think there's just ways to use it properly. People, that's all you have to do. Just
Oh, dude,
don't
I'll talk.
be just don't be an idiot.
All that I have no shame. I have like I will talk about like factory farming while I'm knee deep in a cheeseburger.
I also, yeah, I also don't love, maybe I'll just say this out loud, since maybe I shouldn't say this, but
Say it.
like I love when someone, and you do this a lot, and I love it so much when people just kind of like put a thing up that they've been playing and are doing, and it's their own and it's artistic, but the constant like, here's a video, I'm a guitar player and I'm covering this song and we're doing the thing, and like that's the way to fame. I just don't love that. I don't
Oh,
love
I don't. No, I
I
don't get.
think it's I think it's kind of cheesy, and I think it's like, I don't care. I just don't care. Um Anyways, I don't
There's
even know. I don't really know why I said that, because we're talking about social media and the
yeah.
ways. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Social.
I do. I like social media in the sense of like, the entire reason that I got an Instagram is, Vanessa was telling me one day when like I didn't know how Instagram worked. Is complete. I still know how Twitter works. It's complete mystery. But Instagram, I was like, what's the deal? And she was just like, you can post pictures of your guitars and find other people who posted pictures of their guitars. And in
Exactly.
my mind, it was just a guitar app.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
And I enjoyed it in the fact that
that's
it's
the beautiful thing about it is you can find your community of people, and then just like with what I'm doing here and trying to kind of cultivate like a female led conversation in all of this guitar world land, and you know, expose people to other people they wouldn't necessarily know, et cetera, et cetera. It can be really used in a positive way. And let's see, what question will I ask you here to end this off? Um, wow, we've covered a lot, and it's been a real pleasure to have you, by the way. Thank you for doing this.
thank you for having me. I think
I,
this is an awesome thing.
I can't wait till we get to hang in real life again.
That would be so good.
I know. Man. And we can record on your Tascam.
Oh God, Northern Winds, it's happening.
Yes. Yes. Let's do it finally. We will. Once I'm done my record too. That's kind of, I've said no to a bunch of stuff lately.
The classic Zdan little bit. You had to put the pin in there. It was like, yes, let's do it after I finish my record.
After I finish my record. I did recently say yes to recording a, oh, there we go. I'm back. You may hear about it one day. I did this jingle recording for something that could possibly be used, but whew, so weird. Just like, what a way to end 2020. More on that later.
Vocal or instrumental?
Oh, everything, all the things. Like I wrote a whole thing for a commercial, which was really interesting. But it's so nice to like do it all at home and have the capabilities, you know. So okay, I'm gonna end it with this question.
Okay.
Because I think I'm interested too in this question. Because a lot of the stuff I have sort of known about you. But what do you do to get out of a guitar rut? Or do you even get in them?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. You know, yeah,
You have 60 seconds, by the way.
Okay. I come from a long line of degenerate gamblers and hoarders, so I like to buy guitars thinking that they'll bring me luck. And a lot of times it works.
Oh, I love that.
I'll buy a guitar and it will send me down or trade or, you know, fix up an old guitar, and it'll send me down a rabbit hole of something new. It feels like life in every guitar. But yeah, other than that, you know, then sometimes I'll buy a new record and just try to learn a new chord, or you know, just something.
Yeah.
Just, you know, or play a chord you never played, and then just try to move it around, and then see what falls because of it. It's a completely imperfect science, and I don't know if I'll even. I may quit guitar. I don't know. I haven't figured it out.
You aren't gonna quit. Stop it. If you do, I'm gonna come over there and.
I'm still deciding if it's my thing. You know.
Yeah, you're still deciding if it's your thing. Sure. If there's so for anybody out there listening that hasn't heard what Steven does, the latest record, his partner Van Darian, he produced the record and his guitar is all over it. It's a fantastic record, and that is all over the internets. Go and look that up. It's called Levy. Would there be one song you would push people towards from that record?
There's a song on there called Sparrow in the Sea that I really love. Sonically, I love it. I love the way that the song's shaped up, and it's also a beautiful duet with Owen Beverly.
Ooh, nice. So, okay.
Yeah, had a little bit of everything there.
That's great.
Our friends Dawes.
Yes.
Chicken bacon.
That's a great record. You guys did a fantastic job.
And your lovely harmony is all over that record as well.
That's true. I did sing harmony on that record.
Seems like a lot of stuff.
Seems like a lifetime ago now. Yeah, that was a good time. Always loved singing with Vanessa. Well, yeah, we'll have to do this. We'll have to do this again and talk producing next time. I would like that.
Let's part 2. Organ or no organ.
Part 2. Letting the artist use their band or not.
Oh, that's always a hard no.
Never.
Me, I don't know this guy. If he's so good, why is he in my band?
Oh man, it's so true. But sometimes it can work. And I'll tell you about that. I'll tell you about that next time we talk.
Oh, you're getting soft.
I will. But yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
This has been Stephen Cooper on the Tone Zone. Look up his work with Van Darien. And also you'll find him when touring happens again, touring around with all sorts of folks. And
No matter where you are, I'll somehow be in your local club.
he probably will, or coming through in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Vandalize my poster.
Yes. Thank you for being with us tonight. Next month, I have Lyra Lynn joining me, who has become a dear friend as we both have new babies in a pandemic. And she is a killer guitar player and just produced and recorded her brand new record. And that's exciting. So
I want to be on that. Can I come back?
Maybe so. But next time, Stephen, we'll do a Tone Zone talk with all about producing.
Love it.
So thank you, and be safe, man.
Well, I love you. It's great to see you. And yeah, let's catch up.
Okay, you have a good night. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.